Looks like Purpp has been losing followers day over day. The farther we zoom out, the more the patterns start to blend together. What's up, scrubs? Swifty's dictionary for convenient openers states that a scrub is anyone with less than 1 million followers across all platforms. It doesn't matter if the followers are fake or real, so long as they look real. What's the difference? But wait, why would anyone pay tens, hundreds, or even thousands of dollars for fake followers? Because perception is reality. A groundbreaking revelation, I know. But even when we're aware of this, it's still a powerful marketing tool. Why is that? Because most people are smooth-brained dipsticks who can't, or don't care to, see through the veil, I hear you say. And that's the easy answer. The reality is that we're all smooth-brained dipsticks who rely more on our hardwired instincts than we realize. I don't like that answer as much. Consider this. A pack of apes wandering through a jungle notice a bush they've never noticed before with colorful bright red berries. The pack of apes have never seen this berry bush before, but the color captivated them enough to stop wandering and look at it. One of the apes decides to send it for the clout, and reaches out to pick a berry from the bush. He sniffs it, cautiously, before placing it in his mouth and gingerly taking a bite. The other apes notice he hasn't keeled over and died yet, so 2 more apes decide to step out from the pack to try the berries for themselves. Then 3 more apes give them a try. Then 4. And then the rest of them. Because I'm not David Attenborough and this isn't the Discovery Channel, the analogy sucks. But the point stands. Replace the apes with any social creature and you'll come to the same conclusion. Wolves, dolphins, sheep, humans. The reason why is because of something called social proof. Social proof, also known as informational social influence, is a psychological and social phenomenon wherein people copy the actions of others in an attempt to undertake behavior in a given situation. And to dumb it down for the rest of us, monkey see, monkey do. But how does this relate to us? We're not monkeys. Our superior intelligence has separated us from the inferior species on our planet because a couple of us were smart enough to figure out space travel. Right? Let's play a game. What was the last brand new item you purchased? Chances are, you did your research before making that purchase decision. You probably looked at a handful of reviews, and if it was a big purchase, you likely sought out the opinions of others who had experience with the product. Congratulations, you were just influenced by social proof. If you're still awake at this point, you're probably like, bruh, shut the f*** up with this social science already and get to the cap. There's a reason for why we started here before talking about Smoke Purpp, so let's get to it. Everyone from Jamari, Hello Yassine, rappers Down Bad and their grandmothers have talked about Smoke Purpp's show being as packed out as my first hip-hop recital from middle school. But my goal is not to bash or clown on him. Instead, my goal with this is to strictly analyze the data and interpret the story it tells. I am entirely indifferent to his success or demise. I'm just here for the facts. Smoke Purpp came up around the same time Lil Pump, 6ix9ine, and other SoundCloud rappers. During this time, it was wildly easy to make songs chart. One time, we pushed 200,000 streams to a song overnight on Spotify and made it chart in the top 50 viral for US and Canada. Easy mode was activated. Back in 2016-2017, streaming platforms like SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube didn't have the same anti-fraud technology that they do now, so it was much harder for them to spot fake traffic. This made it almost hilariously easy for people to exploit the algorithms and influence streaming and social platforms to make songs, posts, and videos go viral. For just a few bucks, you could chart on SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, or push your post to the Explore page on Instagram to set the stage to go viral. So to bring it back full circle, why would someone spend money on fake followers, streams, or engagement? Because during this time, it was a means to an end. You could use fake to get real. Once you start charting, the social proof is established, and the algorithm is recommending it to audiences. It doesn't matter if the music is good or not. Pair it with flashy and rebellious imagery appealing to angsty teenagers, and you've got the perfect recipe for creating rap superstars. Let's see how well that methodology of marketing is working out for Smoke Purpp. Since Purpp found his footing on SoundCloud first, I think it's fitting we start there. Honestly, there's not too much to say about this graph. It's rather straightforward where we see the glow up back in 2017 and it's been a pretty steady uptrend since then. I wish there was more to say about the data here, but it's pretty unremarkable aside from the booming growth in the beginning. We know that there's some fluff accounts buried in there, but there's no telling how much. SoundCloud has never been at the forefront of anti-fraud technology. Let's move on to the fun stuff like Instagram. Oh. It's not looking very good. One look at his Instagram followers in the past 3 months is a clear indication of them trying to stay afloat. The solid line indicates his follower count, and the dotted line indicates the change in followers that day. Notice how there are several days in a row where the change in followers craters to 4-digit negatives, pops back up to 4-digit positives, then repeats that cycle several times? Very clear indication of fake followers. The IG fraud system is purging the accounts almost at the same rate as he's attaining them. Which means he's getting cheap fake accounts, so they should be easy to spot. Let's take a look. Ah yes. One quick swipe down and we've already got a wonderful sample pool. There are some that are obviously fake, but let's take it a step further and look at the not so obvious ones. At a quick glance, it looks real. But when you look closer, a pattern emerges. Notice how almost all pictures are in different languages. Either this lovely lass is fluent in English, Spanish, and Arabic, or she's cap. If we start to identify that each post has 0 engagement and was posted on the same day, we can confidently confirm that this profile is, indeed, fake AF. Here we see another one with an attractive female, and while we don't see a language discrepancy, we can see that all her posts were made on the same date. And what kind of beautiful girl posting thirst traps on the gram only has 6 followers? Straight cap. Anyway, see how the change in followers flattens out to be an exact number every day. Another sure sign of a daily drip feed order of fake followers. Let's zoom out for the bigger picture. Looks like Purpp has been losing followers day over day. The farther we zoom out, the more the patterns start to blend together. I believe it was Hello Yassine who pointed out in a video that every time Purpp's followers dropped below 4 million, they would come up just enough to meet that threshold before falling back down below and the cycle would continue. And it looks like this cycle began around November 20th of last year, where Smoke Purpp went from losing a cool 711 every day for a week to then miraculously gaining 120,000 followers in 9 days. I'm no mushroom, but that looks like cap. And Hello Yassine was, indeed, speaking facts. I wonder if Smoke Purpp was planning a tour around this time and wanted to boost the numbers for optics in order to lock in more bookings and venues. He announced the tour February 18th, so the timeline makes sense. His team would have leveraged a nice and clean number like 4 million for a higher booking rate and more venues while organizing the tour. As we zoom out further, a new pattern emerges. Over 300k purged over 6 months. And if we zoom all the way out, we see the glow up from back in the day. As well as that continued trend of constantly losing followers and trying to maintain the 4 million aesthetic. Which begs the question, how many of his followers are real? Interesting. On the surface of this report, it looks like about half. Which is better than I would have guessed. Congratulations, @RickyMixedIt. Your guess was the closest at 52.56%. Well done. Fun fact, the target demographic for hip-hop are male, suburban, white pre-teens and teenagers. And if we look at his followers demographic, it checks out as over half of them are Caucasian, and at this point in time, they would be in their early to mid-20s. It's important to keep in mind that since we know we're looking at demographic data where half of it is determined to be inauthentic, there's going to be an unknown margin of error. That's the unfortunate reality of working with data that has a lot of cap buried in it. Once we start digging into the countries, we might be looking at less than 50% authenticity, but that's my educated speculation. International followers are not a surefire way of determining artificial followers, but it is a safer assumption than if they were from a country that at least shared the same primary language as the artist. Let's just assume 2.1 million followers are real. A profile with 50% fake followers isn't great at all, but not a rare occurrence. Similar accounts to Purpp's have about 73% authenticity, on average. Let's look at some more data before we call cap or fax on this case. On YouTube, things are looking peculiar. From January 7th to January 13th of 2022, Purpp lost 844,000 views a day. This is typically synonymous with YouTube scrubbing fake views. YouTube is big on not paying ad revenue for fake views, so their anti-fraud counter systems are on par with Spotify's, but the difference is YouTube actually pays its creators fairly. Maybe one day Spotify will do the same. If we zoom out to 6 months here Whoa. Purpp lost 22 million views in one day. Either that was a massive purge of views, or he had a video with 22 million views taken down. Zooming out further, we can see a few more days where he lost 2 million one day, few 100,000 a couple times, and these strange peaks. Typically with peaks like these, they could symbolize bot traffic, or because we're on YouTube, it could be YouTube ads. Allow me to explain. A lot of amateurs think that with YouTube ads it's best to use the entire ad budget in 24 to 36 hours. This results in sharp spikes but steep fall-offs. The reason this method is trash is because if you put all your eggs in one basket, or in this case, put your entire budget into one day. This is problematic because you won't know if that budget would have performed better on other days. A budget runs differently on Monday than it would on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, etc. But for the most part, the YouTube views look sus. It's shown slow growth, but there's too many red flags to ignore and write it off as 100% legit. We could take the time to comb through his YouTube comments for bot activity, but frankly speaking, when it comes to faking comments, the easiest way to spot them is if you're actively watching the comments roll in. If they know what they're doing, they'll monitor all comments coming in during the time frame of the bot comments being delivered and immediately remove any of the ones that look suspicious. Depending on the quality of your order, you could be removing a lot of comments. I already took the time to lurk through them, and most of them look legit aside from this double comment, which is very likely a bot. But the majority look okay. Time for Spotify. Let's look at the monthly listeners. Holy smokes. This graph has more curves than a West Virginia highway. Lots of peaks and valleys signify sus behavior, as organic traffic rarely ever looks this extreme or bipolar. It's also incredibly suspicious that the time frame at the beginning of this graph shows us negative growth and daily changes of flat zero seemingly every other day. These sporadic peaks, especially right here, usually signify bot traffic order en masse. Especially when the timing doesn't line up with the release. I think it'd be important to mention that spikes in traffic could be caused from outside traffic like TikTok or a viral moment. But, historically speaking, when something goes viral on TikTok and the streams on Spotify start to go up, they're usually very consistently up over a period of time. Rarely will you ever see authentic streaming traffic spike and fall off so drastically in a 48-hour time period. Spotify followers looks okay on the outside, until you start to look at this graph in context with the monthly listeners. Ignore the heartbeat-looking anomalies in this graph for now. I'll explain those in a moment. If we zoom out all the way, you can see there was one period of a follower purge, but every other day, year over year, it was consistently growing. The reason this reads as suspicious to me is because his monthly listeners have had a very dramatic ebb and flow with a very clear indication that, over time, the overall monthly listeners have been trending downward. But if we take the follower graph at face value, then he should be constantly stacking onto his monthly listeners and growing month over month. However, this is obviously not the case, which leads me to believe that he's got a lot of fluff followers on Spotify. Especially when we're zoomed all the way out, we can see a purge and a couple anomaly spikes that look suspicious. Alright, now for the heartbeat anomalies in this graph. This is a wonderful example that you should always check your sources. I've had extensive conversations with the developers of this software in order to figure out what this figure represents. Notice how the daily change goes from a constant to then being doubled, before dropping to a flat zero the next day, and then somehow rebounding back to the constant on day 3? To the untrained eye, this would signify fraudulent activity. However, this is actually an error in the data collection process. Sometimes Spotify, or other platforms, encounter an error and forget to send the data through what's called an API. We're not going to dive into what an API is because, frankly speaking, I barely understand what they are. Just know that they're the connection point between the platform and the data collector. So when we see these anomalies, we know that it's the data being compensated from the day it missed. It's also very common to see the inverse of this occur where it drops to zero, doubles from the constant, then balances out again. I'm not going to dive into the playlists for Smoke Purpp because, honestly, we could waste a lot of time doing that for minimal information. I already dug through his playlists in my research for this video, and I can tell you that his most significant major playlist placements are editorial. 124 editorials on Spotify, 2 on YouTube, and 33 on Apple. Editorials aside, I did spot some very suspicious Spotify playlists that he's on, but we'll save playlisting for another video. That's a can of worms we don't have time for today. Alright, let's briefly go over the last 2 platforms. Twitter and Facebook. On Twitter, he's been losing followers every day for the past year. On average, about 40 to 50. At most, he'd lose 200 or more. Could be from bots being purged, or general disinterest in his brand. Due to the very constant and steady decline, my money is on bot purge. My reasoning is, you don't usually see real followers unfollow so consistently day over day. something will occur with the brand that causes followers to leave en masse over the time span of a couple days before ultimately petering out. Purpp's Facebook data tells the same story. Over the past 6 months, he's been losing followers at a very constant rate. Zooming out to the past year, and we see an astounding change in followers going from 271,000 one day, to gaining 1.2 million the next day to end up with 1.5 million followers total. From there, he gains about 2,000 to 4,000 followers a day till November, which is where the descent begins as Facebook's anti-bot tech slowly purges the accounts. And to play devil's advocate, this could also be users leaving the Facebook platform because, as we all know, Facebook sucks. Alright, so where does this leave us? Is Smoke Purpp all cap, half cap? Could he be, dare I say it, certified fax? I wish it were that simple, dear viewer. What we're witnessing here is the fall of an artist in real time. We see and know the methods he used to rise to stardom as ghosts in the machine. Fingerprints left behind in the data that reveals itself to this day. There is cap buried into the metrics, but to write off his entire fanbase and success as all cap would be inaccurate. Smoke Purpp has a fan base somewhere in here. He wouldn't have been able to maintain his position in the industry if everything had been artificially boosted this whole time. That being said, that fan base is dwindling as Smoke Purpp falls off into obscurity. The same music and antics that he had during his come-up aren't working anymore. J. Cole said it best in his 1985 song which, at this point, I'm sure you're all familiar with, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse by hammering home the lyrics. Instead, I'll leave you with this. The majority of Purpp's fan base has grown up and evolved from the pill-poppin', lean-sippin', and clout-chasing music he used to be known for. And if he wants to win that Grammy like he says he's going to, then he's going to have to do the same. But I can't end this video without giving an official Swiftie rating, so without further ado I give Smoke Purpp a certified cap rating. Congratulations. Just about every platform looked like it had, at minimum, 50% cap buried in there at some point or another. Thank you everyone for sticking with me through this whole video. I know it was lengthy and I probably just shoved a ton of new information into your brain so you're ready to binge some mind-numbing content to balance it out. I don't blame you. If you like content like this, please donate a like and sub to the channel, or you can follow me on Insta and TikTok if you want to have daily access to the cap that we're calling out. If you have any questions, comments, insights, or just want to share your ideas for content you'd like to see from me in the future, drop a comment or shoot me a DM. This will allow me to evolve the content as this channel grows and give you guys exactly what you're looking for. I'm also always taking requests for artists you'd like me to cover in these analytic deep dives, so feel free to call the cap in the comments below. And lastly, I want it to be known to the subject of this video that, in the off chance you watch this, you're more than welcome to DM me if you think I got anything incorrect in this video. I'm always willing to look at the analytics on your end to verify the validity of the data I reported on. Thanks for watching. Swiftie out.